Bomber put on a clinic against Hart. That was a I think I say the word decisive too much, but one more time. That was a decisive victory. It was 3-0. The only game where we started to be like, oh no, Bomber might be behind. He then won like a minute and a half later after Hart literally. I'm gonna borrow this from somebody in the chat or in the forums. They said he doomed drop himself, not doom drop, doomed drop himself. I like that a lot. That's funny.
You've been going with the wheelhouse a lot today as well.
You know, it's like someone should make that video. Casters, for whatever reason in their brain, during each tournament, because I don't have one word that I use every tournament, but I have my 2 or 3 words each tournament that I'm like, wow, that's such a good word. I'm going to use it all the time. And I do. You do too, though. We all do.
I know.
We have to find it, but you know.
I think the wheelhouse is cool, though. I might steal it from you once in the future.
Don't steal it yet, though.
No, not yet.
The two of us just like wheelhouse, 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 like just wheeling all over the place. But we are underway, and surely these two players are going to put on a better show than the lack of variety to our vocabulary that you and I have had, well, just me so far. Let's go ahead and introduce these players in the top left-hand side of Waystation. We have CM Storm Polt. Rotterdam, introduce the triple clown winner, please.
How can I? Oh, we're in the right bottom side of the map. We have one of the most successful StarCraft 2 players of all time. He used to be on StarTale. These days, he has wings as he's representing Red Bull all around the world. He is Bomber.
And I'll tell you what, one of the things people have been talking about this entire tournament is like, you know, how nostalgic it is. A lot of these big old names coming back and playing. Bomber Polt. This gives me strong nostalgic vibes. This is a TVT that I don't think anyone's ever sad about hearing.
No, this is just like those guys and then like some of the other Terrans, you know, like an MMA or an MVP. It's just whenever you put them up against each other, you're excited because you know it's going to be amazing games. You know they're going to blow your mind one way or the other, and there's just going to be a lot of stuff happening. It's really funny when you talk with Bomber and he always says like, yeah, I kind of have slow hands. It's like, no, Bomber, like every game you have like 300 APM and you're all over the place. You are the opposite of a slow player.
That might be that Korean fake modesty though. Yeah. Like, oh, slow hands. And you're like, yeah, okay, please.
Have you ever seen me play? You'll think I'm watching a replay or something like that, you know?
It's like definitively not slow at all. Both very sound mechanical players. Talking about this TVT from Bomber's perspective, we did get to see him play a TVT. It was against another top-tier Korean opponent in the form of Axiom Hart. You know, he did dismantle him, but he did it in different ways. He was kind of alternating between economic openings, and then also he would be doing like Cloak Banshee openings, trying to kind of target his opponent's economic opening. Going into this, I think it'll be more of the same. That seems to be kind of the standard in TVT. Some players define themselves a little bit more differently. I know Demuslim's quite famous for cheesing quite a bit more in all the matchups, but he would stand apart in that way. Polt loves him some good old Marine Marauder medevac with lots of tanks. But like we talked about in that previous TVT, I don't know that you necessarily add as many Marauders if there's not mech that you're facing or something like that.
And I think it's actually unlikely. I know we have a couple of mech fans out there, but I'd be very surprised if we see mech in any of these games. You know, Bomber, the day that he goes mech, I actually run on stage to make sure that it's still Bomber because he just doesn't really do that. And Polt, I can't even recall the last time I saw Polt play mech. He's also just not really a mech player. They both love to fly around in medevacs, just pump out a ridiculous amount of Marines. Because both these guys, how many times haven't we praised them in the past for their ridiculous macro? It's just like 12 to 14 to 16 Marines in any given moment are going to be produced, like pretty much past the 10-minute mark.
Bomber's played so many iconic matchups in games where I think back to that, even, again, feeling off that nostalgic vibe. I remember back to Bomber versus Idra on Metalopolis, where I think Bomber at one point was producing something like 24 Marines at a time. Just one game, he just decided to make nothing but pure Marines, and it was cool. I got to sit in the audience while that place blew up as Greg and him did battle, went very back and forth. But that was like several years ago. It's kind of cool that at this point in time, we get to be the old grandpas of a game and look back and be like, I remember when this man was playing. You know, it's only 3 or 4 years, I guess, but in gaming time, that might as well be accelerated dog years.
And the reason why we mention this so often is that it's so cool, guys, that these players have been around since pretty much day one of the StarCraft 2. You know, champions often they come and they go, but very few stick around and very few are still competing for titles 2-3 years later after they you know, what we thought was pretty much already on top of the world and on top of their game. So that's why it really brings an extra dimension to this matchup, and there is even more reason to be already excited for this, other than the fact that they're both just fantastic Terran players.
Yeah, ooh, Reaper actually sloppily does die at the front of Bomber's base, but I like the point that actually Anna brought up on stage 2, is that both these players have already taken second place. One will go to the final, who will either, you know, get over that second place hump that they've had in Texas, or they'll actually become, you know, they'll create the legend for, you know, the second place guy. But on the flip side, we're going to have Jaedong and Violet do battle as well. We're guaranteed a ZVT final. I think that's cool in and of itself. As well.
Almost every StarCraft fan is happy about it. Like, even if you're Pro Tools, like ZVT is just a fantastic matchup to watch. It's so action-packed. The last thing we're gonna talk about before these two really will get things going is that they're both triple crown winners, aren't they? Because Bomber has won tournaments all around the world as well.
Yeah, I think actually Polt might be the original guy. He won that GSL Super Tournament.
But Bomber won a GSL as well, or I mean, he definitely won. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe Bomber didn't win in Korea.
I can't remember.
He won MLG and he won the WCS in Europe, so the games come back then. So either way, they're both super successful and they're ridiculously cool to watch. We saw a little bit more of an economic opening over here for Bomber, but Polt is going to have a little bit more scouting information going for himself. He has a really quick tech lab added to this factory, so we might actually see Polt be the one who's going to be pretty aggressive over here on the way station.
Yeah, this opening for Bomber is really interesting because a lot of times it'll be a drop like this, but we see them also ferry in something like Hellions, but he actually opted to expand behind this. So with this, he's going to shut down the natural for now. A Banshee has already popped out in his mid-map, and actually, Polt's just like really out of position right now. He just frankly can't mine from this natural. He's not actually taking a whole lot of damage, but not mining does hurt quite a bit. The Widow Mining, he's pulled the SCVs way too soon. Yowzers, was that as bad as I thought?
That was five SCV kills. He killed one before that already, but that's really good for Bomber. This is already a dream opening for him.
It could have been worse, so that was the whole train of SCVs. I thought we were going to see one of those GIF moments that you're like, oh God, I'm a part of history, quick say something amazing.
Yeah, well, is that really what goes through your mind on those moments?
No, but I like to say that because it sounds like it'd be a funny thing to think.
Banshee from Polt is going to head into the main base of Bomber over here on the south side. Bomber already dropping missile turrets, and he has scans available as well, I believe.
No stim though.
No stim, but he has scans. One available, soon to be two.
Pretty, I guess Polt's just playing it safe, but so far, kind of lackadaisical control, not very good. But he's going to do some damage or some work here at the natural. There's not much in the way of an exit. Yeah, he was kind of sandwiched in with that missile turret, but he finds a way out, slips out, and is going to do more damage here.
He's going to be dropped again. This Banshee is going to fall. Scan will go down right now. There is Stim.
Sloppy scan.
Wow.
Takes a second scan, but that Banshee was well worth it. Gets a good 6 or 7 kills and 2 scans. Not bad at all.
No. The word count is even right now. Of course, you know, if Polt had in mind that he wants to be really aggressive, then that is definitely stalled quite a bit. We do see +1 bio being researched on both sides. Polt, the siege tank count is so much higher than, well, actually not that much higher, but a little bit higher than the one of Bomber. And Bomber already heading out with 3 medevacs full of units. And way station, you know, I think it's a really hard map to see medevacs come all the time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
There's so much airspace. It's such a large map in general. It is really hard to have excellent map awareness or map control.
Specifically at this time, Kevin, this is very early for this triple drop. A lot of times players will just kind of waltz across the map, but in this case, he's loading up for a very quick drop. Now look at Polt. Again, that instinct, something about him. He doesn't have tower control. He has no map vision necessarily, except for the Banshee kind of floating around in front of Bomber's base. And yet he's still in position to receive this. Now, obviously the force in these 3 medevacs for Bomber is quite a bit stronger, but with already forces here to receive that, Bomber very well could either ditch this idea entirely or at least not do half as much damage.
If he does it behind the mineral line, I still think it's going to be very strong. These tanks will siege up. There's a Widowmine in mix as well. A lot of Marines. Bomber has stim. Polt has no stim. Polt's going to lose a lot of SCVs. And how's Polt going to engage on these tanks?
That's tough. I mean, I didn't see that. I thought he would go right for the production because that's typically where you do drop. He didn't even scan, and he just went for the perfect spot. And from here, it is 4 tanks from Polt to just the 2, but moving into this is going to hurt a lot.
And this is such a bizarre push because Bomber has created 3 medevacs of a starport without an add-on. That's why this timing is so ridiculous, or at least like this drop, this attack. Either way, Polt is going to try to clean it up eventually. He's going to lose a lot of units. but he will succeed in doing so. However, if Bomber just like saves a couple of these medevacs, it was definitely well worth it.
Well, I'll tell you, I thought this was going to be a hell of a lot harder for him to dislodge than that. He did lose, I believe, a tank, maybe 2. In fact, I want to say it was just the 1. Yes, he lost a lot of Marines. Yes, he lost the gas. Of course, the drop was successful. Let's not even question that. But I looked at that and said, he's going to have to pull SCVs. He's going to have to walk 4 unsieged tanks. He did none of the above. He did it mostly with just a couple of tanks and Marines.
Yeah, well done there by Polt. Could have indeed been a lot worse. Either way, an A for effort there for Bomber. Such a cool idea to drop at 10 minutes and 30 seconds mark with Sim Marines and tanks in your opponent's base when you produce 3 medevacs. That's pretty bizarre. Often starport without an add-on. He did add the reactor right now as it finished up. That bench, he tried to make something happen, but I don't think it really killed anything. So I would still say a small advantage over here for Bomber.
Well, you did ask him earlier, and he said, yeah, I don't like to, train with pro gamers because they all played different TVT than me. So far, that's been pretty darn true. And also, I mean, if he goes on to win this game, he'd be 4-0 against very good Korean Terrans in TVT so far. And this is kind of a new, not even a new bomber. He's always been good at TVT, but certainly an impressive one here. 4 medevacs loaded up for the drop. There is a Viking that should be on, yeah, he spots it. And that's good, but honestly, there's a sensor tower. There's also missile turrets. Like, Polt's, it's interesting. Polt's the one kind of buttoning up and looking to play to the long game as opposed to being super aggressive.
Yeah, maybe that's more because he got caught off guard in the start of the game already. Like, so far, Polt has not been able to dictate the pace of the game. Well, normally, with benches, you kind of try to control it. You're like, all right, I see what's going on. My opponent's going to defend. But no, not Bomber. Bomber does not defend. He went aggressive immediately. I like this little hero Marine over here on the right side that's going to A, be annoying, and B, also sees these medevacs returning, and that is very nice.
Yeah, all the above is good there. You're exactly right for pointing that out. And also another Marine checking the 4th base spot. Will end up dying here, but I mean, I guess the story that's being told is both players doing such a good job of fanning out and getting information. Now, one story to kind of point to here as well. Right now, it's just about a 35 supply advantage, but Bomber very much so ahead. We both talked about how powerful they are in their production. It's true for both. But I would say, if they were like RPG characters, Bomber has a 9 out of 10, whereas Polt's like an 8 out of 10. And you want to almost see how that plays out.
Ooh, that was risky, by the way. Bomber picking up 2 tanks on a medevac with like 15 HP. Bomber, of course, doesn't really want to run into these tanks. Yes, he has a way bigger army, but does he really want to run into this? I'm not sure if that's the right way. I think avoiding it like he's doing is a much better idea.
Yeah, he's just going to go right around it. It's kind of a tough spot for Polt, but also Bomber has to be careful. He has enough medevacs to load up the majority of this army, but he is kind of putting himself between 2 armies.
It's going to be hard to reinforce this.
Yeah, well, damn near impossible. and like I said, both these players are aware of how well they are equipped to produce a lot. And Polt has a big army back at home. In fact, that supply gap is closed down to 20. And they're getting closer to maxing out, so of course it will cap out for both of them as well.
I really like what you said about the RPG score, because in that way it's a really interesting way to rate players, because all the players have like different points. I would say that Polt in general is a little more effective with his drops than Bomber, while Bomber is probably indeed better in producing units. And perhaps Polt has slightly better crisis management as well. I feel Bomber is better in setting up stuff, and Polt perhaps being able to adapt on the fly a little better. But
yeah, with that analysis, I think you'd have to be like really strict of how you. I mean, I'm serious about 9 out of 10 for Bomber. Like, nobody should ever be 10 out of 10. Maybe I Love Ooh from Brood War, but Bomber is as close to perfect in macro as, I don't know. That's almost too heavy-handed. But the point is, he's very good at it. We have both these armies passing here. Scans are aware of where they're at. They know where they're at. They're just kind of posturing for a big fight.
It's all going to come down to the engagement. Like, Polt has way more tanks, but if these Marines are able to swing in from behind, is it going to be a base trade, or what's going on over here?
That was the most awkward dance I've seen in a long time. They were meant to catch each other in their loving arms, but instead just whiffed, and now it's going to be a strain.
Stim. He's going to stim in jab. He's going to kill this army so quickly. Actually, well done there by Polt, immediately picking up these units.
Bomber seems to be the one that's prepared. If you notice, that ramp is really treacherous to go up, but I say prepared, but honestly, both players didn't really see this coming, strangely enough. The stim up the ramp means that Polt's going to lose a lot. He did relocate the tanks there. They're going to get some damage. With so many medevacs there, it's only going to be a little bit, and now we see Polt also darting up the ramp of Bomber, and Bomber will collapse here as well.
Can I say, I don't know, Jeff? I guess Bomber is still, like, in situations like this, I think the Terran with more Marines is always better off. and Bomber has way more Marines. Yes, Polt has a small tank lead, but I feel that having more Marines is pretty much everything that you could possibly wish for in this scenario.
You know, it's that, and then the other question is who has the ability to produce it all, and honestly, the answer right now is nobody. Bomber has more of a bank, so...
This is so bizarre, like they're just relocating.
It's like they wanted this to happen too. They literally passed from the same area of the map. They're like, no, let's not fight. That's too gruesome. Let's go reset the game.
Oh, Polt forgot about a lot of these SCVs, so those are going to fall. So it's a little bit unfortunate. He was able to save 2 out of his 3 orbitals. I guess the same can be said about Bomber. 1 orbital, 2 orbital. No, 3. Oh, that's the support commented. No, actually, Bomber saved all of his bases.
This upgrade, this attack. Okay, he does see it. That would have been funny if 3 attack finishes. Did he finish armor? No, they're both equally upgraded too.
Exactly, even on the tanks. But if we take a look at the unit count right now, it's 4 tanks for Bomber against 7 for Polt, but it's 44 Marines for Bomber against 27 for Polt. One less Vikings, right? If I was Polt, I would use my Vikings a bit.
Does he have some Vikings?
Yeah, he has 2 of them. I don't know where.
Yeah, they're out there. They're preventing drops from attacking nothing right now.
Preventing drops from attacking my empty main.
I don't like this from Bomber. Bomber's just doing the lazy thing where he's like, I'm just gonna expand here. I mean, I guess he just drops mules at it.
What I also don't like from Bomber right now is that he ignores all these supply depots. That actually allows Polt to pretty much start producing Marines immediately, while Bomber on the other end lost every single depot that he had on the map.
Yeah.
Like, this is a minor effort. He takes all this out in like 15 seconds if he steams.
Yeah, or just leave behind like 8 Marines to slowly work it down. It's not like that's the difference in your fight, you know. Neither player has such an overwhelming force that they literally just run into the other guy's siege tanks, and if you're by your siege tanks, you're fine. So
what a great way to start up this TVT then. But Polt is gonna drop his mules over here on the island expand. That's the first time we see those being used at the Lone Star Clash 3.
Yeah, I think it actually is. That's weird. Seen a few games here. Even scans and says, okay, that is the base you're taking. That was weird, but it was exactly right. He scanned of all the bases to scan.
He's like, I think you're over here. Yep, 3 orbitals.
Look at that. Polt's not going to wait. He's pushing out.
I think he's worried because Bomber has way more orbitals than him. But Polt is actually in a position where he's able to catch up in supply a little quicker because he's producing units, and it's going to take a little while for Bomber.
Yeah.
Good thing is that Bomber also managed to save quite a few SCVs, so it's not like he's building 2 depots at a time. No, he's building like 10 at a time, so.
SCV spots that army, scan confirms it.
Polt is going to go all in. He's even bringing the SCVs as well.
This is going to be bloody. Oh, geez. Bomber indecisive there. He's been waffling in and out of the range of the tanks, and it's going to cost him.
Yeah, the Marine count is even right now.
Yeah.
Polt with way more tanks. Polt is going to take out this planetary fortress as well. What's going on?
Polt leaves his tanks by themselves, but it doesn't seem to cost him as much as I thought it would.
Well, this is actually really bizarre. Polt is turning this game around. Right now, they're even in workers. Army supply is in favor of Polt by 13.
Yeah.
He's still producing Marines as well, at least if he wants to.
And now this
he's
depot,
not dropping any mules.
Like this depot farm is exposed as well. Still a massive bank for Bomber. If Bomber is given time, he will, you know, overpower this, I feel.
Okay, he's building Medevacs and Vikings, so I guess that's something. And he also has way more scans available because he has like 3 orbitals, and I think Polt has 2.
Wow, look at Polt's so aggressive. And he gets, is that the last of the tanks? That's it for the tanks. They're all dead.
Wow. 5 tanks right now for Polt. Even though, like right now, of all of the Marines, there were way more Medevacs on the map for Bomber. So the Marine fight is definitely still going to be in favor of Bomber. What an absolutely bizarre TVT. The tanks are out of range and not covering these Marines right now. Where are you going to go, Bomber?
Yeah, he doesn't know. I'll tell you that. We don't know. Very uncomfortable game. I feel like Bomber made some huge mistakes there, losing all the tanks, letting himself get flanked that hard. I mean, it's weird. They both had roughly 5 or 7 tanks each, and it's literally 5 versus 0. So it's not even like it was a little bit of a mistake. It was a huge mistake.
It was either 3 against 7 or 4 against 7. But also Bomber had 20 Marines more. Right now the Marine count is even. Slowly but steady, new Marines are dwindling in though. These Vikings are nice because it's not like Polt is going to have Medevacs in the near future, right?
Yeah, and if he loses the Medevacs, then he can't stim at all. I mean, it's game over if he loses the Medevacs, honestly.
Lift off. He's going to find these wrecks as well. This is awkward. At least he will be able to pick up some of these Marines on the high ground. Actually, taking the high ground is a very smart thing to do. It's a lot easier to defend, I guess, right? Look at these Marines. They're going to find an orbital.
I just am...
This orbital is going to find these Rexes and these Marines. So what is Polt? Oh, I picked up a medevac. That's nice.
Not bad. Supply advantage is here for Bomber, and Bomber
What
is the one...
is going on?
Polt, excuse me. And Polt's the one mining and not supply blocked like you talked about. Now shooting down these, I mean, this orbitals on fire.
Oh my god. I'm so surprised that Bomber didn't decide to YOLO it up this ramp and just sit on the high ground.
Oh, but oh gosh, we're gonna have perhaps the final engagement. No, Bomber backs away, but he takes the tanks again.
He's gonna lose one of his orbitals though. But he's not producing any Marines. Look at the Marine count right now. Polt with 12 more Marines. This is almost the moment where Polt can stim in. Even though like the medevac count is still a really big problem. But 2 orbitals are being shot down right now.
And they'll both die. This one, no way it lands.
Oh, nope.
Almost, I guess, but... and Polt's just pushing him around. Like, they had an equal force. If anything, Polt had a smaller force, but he's going to take a resounding victory right here. He crushes through, and Bomber taps out. What a bizarre game.
I can't believe that.
Holy
Polt with
cow.